で、今日は、非常に基本、This is very basic about femoral sizing. Okay. 大腿骨のサイジングについてお話ししたいと思います。Basically, femoral size is decided the distance between anterior cortex and cartilage surface of posterior condyle or the femur. So, all implants, the size of femoral component is decided based on this distance. So that means after implantation, posterior edge, lowest point of posterior condyle will be same after implantation as before the implantation, the same level. And anterior cutting surface is same level as the anterior cortex, so-called flash technique, anterior flash technique. So it is considered to be ideal to anterior cutting surface is the same as the anterior cortex. Or that means the inner surface of femoral component is anterior cutting surface, that is the anterior cortex. That's the idea. So how to decide? Of course, the distance is not digital, but very variable. So sometimes the sizing is between the sizes of the femoral component, such as between A and B or 3 and 4. So how to manipulate this situation? There are two situations. So one is two techniques. One is the anterior reference or anterior down technique, where the anterior cutting surface is constant. The anterior cutting surface is the same as the tip of stylus. Okay, so in every component size. On the other hand, posterior reference or posterior up technique is posterior cut thickness is constant in all component size. So there is two ways. So if you do the TKA in the future, you should recognize which type are you using every time. So I prefer to use anterior reference, but for the most kinematic user, prefer to use posterior reference. So the anterior reference is focused on the anterior cutting surface. That means, so in this system, anterior cutting surface is decided, not so variable. So notch can be avoidable. So, but posterior cutting technique can be different from its original component size. Sometimes thinner than the component thickness, sometimes thicker than the component thickness. So, for example, if this size is between size 3 and 4, the 4 is larger and the 3 is smaller. If we select 3, the cutting thickness can be thicker.
高くなるか、小突き
なんで、こう、そう。この効果の小継ぎで、ここが一緒。Size, smaller size, the cutting thickness can be thicker. But larger size, cutting thickness can be thinner. Okay? So if you do the cutting in the proper technique and proper sizing, notch can be avoided. We can avoid the notch, anterior notch. That is a serious complication that can dramatically increase the risk of fracture, post-operative supracondylar fracture. However, in terms of posterior cut thickness, can be thicker and thinner. So that is a problem. On the other hand, posterior reference, the posterior cut thickness is always the same, always the same. So in all cases, we can cut the posterior corner in the same thickness as the components. That's very beneficial for kinematic alignment concept because the kinematic alignment basically cut the bone in the same thickness as the component. Okay? So that's it. So you should recognize the difference. However, so if you select the smaller size, you will make the anterior notch. So in posterior reference, you should select the larger size. If you the size that indicate the between the sizes, you should always select the bigger. Okay, but in anterior reference, you can use the same. If you feel the pressure gaps looks very loose, you can select the larger one. If the pressure gap seems tight, you can select smaller. The further, if the tip is a little bit separate from the anterior cortex, we can adjust both posterior cut thickness and anterior cut thickness at the left. So as you evaluate now, many surgeons focus on the anterior offset. So not only the posterior offset, but also the anterior offset is now focused on. So we can adjust anterior cut thickness and posterior cut thickness in the same time. And the further, if this size indicate between 3 and 4, and to adjust the size to be 4, of course, in this situation, the anterior cut thickness can be thinner than the anterior crutch technique. Posterior cut thickness can be the same as the component. So again, if you adjust this size in the every sizes, even the indicator indicates between the 3 or 4, you can adjust both 3 and 4. In this situation, you can cut the posterior corner the same thickness as the component. Do you understand?
Yes.
Okay. So that's why I prefer to use anterior reference. So if I adjust the size to the decided sizes 3, 4, 5, or C, D, E, we can use it as if it is posterior reference. 要は前方も後方もどちらも調節できるので、好んで使っているということですね。これが基本。This is the basic. You should recognize. But this figure is not true because this permacom sizer is used after distal cut in most cases. So you should describe like this. Okay. Anyway, so next we should consider the rotation. So is concerning the rotation, the sizing come to a little bit difficult. So maybe tomorrow. I have to go around. ということになります。難しい。いや、俺はパッとやってるけど。いや、今の、はい、言ってる。はい。まあ、なかなかまとまって覚える、というか、聞くことも少ないかなと思うんで、はい。